We are all familiar with time as a concept that alters the motion and progression of things, but in Teyvat, time is a rather complicated subject. It touches upon more important concepts affecting Teyvat in a larger scale that reinforces its place as possibly one that could perhaps be the most rigid of the main laws in Teyvat. If you watched my video where I explored Veterfolnir and the Conrian notion of fate in relation to Rerir's backstory, I brought up a section that lists activities that the Sumeru Academia deems sinful. Credits to commenter 2 is watching, as they suggested a crucial theory that these sins correlates to the heavenly principles and the shades, and that the sin of investigating the origin of words is something to be correlated to Istaroth, the ruler of time. Along with it, they mentioned that Istaroth's domain is not only the basic notion of time, but also history and memory. And they are onto something. Think about it. There is a reason why we cannot name our wanderer using names that were associated with his past identity as Scaramouche. There is a reason why Durin still has that possibility of ending up in the same fate as the dragon spine Durin. And there is a heavily important reason why we cannot mention Greater Lord Rukkhadevata to others, especially Nahida. Names themselves are words that carry the value of identity, and just like any other words, the repeated use of such names will strengthen the associations and value to the point of etching it into memory. And when we talk about memory, we have to talk about Irminsul. Most of these naming nuances and the records of memory and history are made possible through the Irminsul, and the game places a great deal in preserving it and preventing its corruption. Ever since we gave Wanderer our name of choice, there has been a constant caution that the traveler had to keep memories of him as Scaramouche for themselves. This is not only because they are a descender, but because the Irminsul will start nurturing this name as a new word, and thus making the present timeline justify the newly founded word. This, in consequence, made everyone forget about Wanderer's former existence as Scaramouche and even rewrote history with placeholders instead. Should the travelers spill this information out, they might risk unfolding the events in the origin from which the name was decided upon, which might infer the corresponding paradox to time being that of reversal. And that reminds me, this might explain why some Archons refrain from revealing information about the Cataclysm. They might want to preserve the integrity of that event tied to such a word in history, and if the traveler gains knowledge of it, they could pose the greatest risk of attempting to trigger time's paradox, all for the sake of reuniting with their sibling. But what about the reason as to why the vase was still broken in the new Wanderer timeline? I believe this is more similar to the travelers' meeting of Kuthar and their brief encounter with Diridith and their sibling, which likely involves another law closely linked to time: space. Like and subscribe for more.